Wow. Wow. That's all to start the show, that's all I can really say is just wow. I honestly, I've talked so much stuff the last few years about how I felt that boxing was dying and how boxing is nowhere near what it was in my dad's heyday, or especially my grandfather's heyday, or especially my great-grandfather's heyday. Nowhere near what it was. Nowhere near it. MMA has taken over as the leading combat sport. That's facts. The biggest pay-per-view draw is in MMA, not in boxing. That's why you had to have boxing and MMA merge as one, joining the biggest boxing draw versus the biggest MMA draw, because nobody else in boxing outside of Floyd was up to snuff in terms of their drawing power. Nobody in MMA was up to snuff for Conor in terms of their MMA drawing power. That's why that fight had to take place. Really, that's why that fight took place. Not the money, not anything else, just that alone. And hearing this news today, it's sad. It's sad to know that HBO Boxing is no longer. As of 2018, the end of 2018, after 45 years, HBO Boxing will no longer be a thing. It's gone. Poof. That's it. Closing up shop. And guys like Jim Lampley, guys like Harold Letterman, guys like Max Kellerman, guys like Roy Jones Jr., the four-man broadcasting team that did so well during the Canelo versus Triple G fight, the rematch, those guys will be out of jobs in terms of as HBO Boxing correspondents. That'll be gone. And Jim Lampley's been one of the voices of boxing for so long. You wonder what's next for him. You wonder what's next for Max Kellerman. Obviously, he has a day job of boasting at Stephen A. Smith on First Take and vice versa, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And I'm not a big fan of that show anymore, to be quite honest. I feel like it's so tiresome, that whole format. And I always told myself I'd never have a show like that. I never will. It's so just two guys yelling at each other, debate. It's not debating. It's not educational. It's not informational. It's just two guys yelling. And it's not fun. I'd rather be a one-man band, a one-man show with some guests sprinkled in than have that, personally. And that's how it's always going to be. It's just is what it is. Jim Rome learned the hard way that he had to do things himself, and it turned out that it was the right way. So, he sprinkles some guests in here and there, but other than that, it's him. He's the one-man band, and I respect that much, much more than having a co-host or anything like that. I respect a guy that can carry the torch on his own. But nonetheless, this is a sad day because it's proof that boxing is in fact dying, that the world is changing as well in terms of technology. There's so many more streaming options for sports now than there's ever been. And I talked about Bellator MMA, the majority of today's show, special edition Thursday night episode, which has lasted more than an hour, which is fantastic. I love this. But we also have to throw out there that Bellator MMA, the second biggest MMA company, not the first, the second, knows well enough that in order for their brand to grow, they have to jump on the streaming bandwagon. They have to join a brand that might not be established, that might be new, but nonetheless, it's a brand that is embracing sports streaming, and that is DAZN or DAZN. I honestly don't know how to pronounce it. I've tried. People tell me one thing, then they tell me another. I honestly don't know which one it is. I don't. I'm sorry. But that's what they're doing. They're jumping on board. They're putting their biggest fight in the company's history, Gegard Mousasi, Rory McDonald, on that event, on this live streaming site. You can go on DAZN.com and sign up for the first month free, and then the next months after that is $9.99. You can cancel it any time. Okay, well, I'll sign up for the first month for free. I'll try it out for the next month, and then I'll cancel it. $10, big deal. The UFC, the largest MMA organization, they signed a 7-year broadcast deal with ESPN, which is the worldwide leader in sports. ESPN was known as being a boxing venue. Boxing is trying to venture into ESPN, and they very well still might. ESPN might end up being the global combat sports leader, the worldwide leader in combat sports, not worldwide leader in sports. That's a catchy one. Worldwide leader in combat sports, that could be ESPN. I expect trademark dollars for that. It could be the case. Could be boxing and MMA in terms of ESPN. And I want to read an article that was written by one of the best boxing analysts, writers that there is, Dan Rafael of ESPN.com. I think he's one of the best writers that ESPN has, personally. I think he's fantastic.